Hi guys, and welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be talking about the amazing time I had at the London Comic Con Winter on the 16th of November. It was a really great day, and before we start the main video, I just want to give a big shout out to my brother Jake for taking me, because he sorted out all the trains and everything like that, and he booked all the stuff, so I just thought I might just give my brother a big shout out, so thank you Jake, thank you a lot. But yeah, so let's get into the main day of the event really. I had to wake up about 6 o'clock in the morning to get there, so it was, we had to wake up fairly early to catch all the trains. We got several different trains. Even one time we ended up on the wrong train, but we ended up getting there in the end, so that was all good. And then we ended up at London Olympia, where it was hosted, the main event. And I got in there, and it would just go from there, really. But before I get into all the people I met, I would just like to show off the posters I got. So, there's a poster. I got this one. It's a Radio Times cover from the Five Doctors. So very nice poster I got there. I haven't shown these off yet, but yeah, that's a nice poster. I also got this one of the 12th Doctor, who is my favourite Doctor. So there you go. That'll look nice on the wall behind you, hopefully. So that'll be very nice. So two very good posters, and I'm really happy I got them because they're great, really. So yeah, moving on to the day I got in there, and the first person I wanted to see was Frazer Hines, because I was like, the reason why I wanted to go to this convention in the first place was to meet Frazer Hines, because I absolutely loved his performance, as Jamie McCrimmon in Doctor Who, and yeah, he was just brilliant, and he was a really great guy to talk to. I spoke to him about, obviously, what episode would you actually come back, that's missing, and he said the Highlanders, because, it was his first story and all that sort of stuff like that. He was a really great bloke, and I said what he thought of the animations and stuff like that, and he said he liked most of the animations. He think they're pretty good, but the one he thought was a bit odd was the Macroterra one. He said he looked a bit like a Looney Tunes character, which is kind of funny to think about. But yeah, he was just a really great guy. I asked him, what was it like working with Patrick Troughton and all that sort of stuff, and he spoke very highly of him, and it was just a really great guy. Lovely to meet. It's a shame I didn't get to talk to him as long as I would have wanted to. But never mind. But he was a great guy. I've got a photo of me and him, so I'll put that up on screen in the corner. And I've also got a photo of me talking to him at the main convention stand thing. But I was in a very long queue, and I was holding up the queue by a bit because I was just talking to him about Doctor Who and stuff like that, really. I also asked him, about, I like Jamie, is he sort of confused by a lot of things, particularly aeroplanes. And Frazer Hines said the quote from Jamie McCrimmon, he said, "Flying beasties," that word. Sorry about that awful accent, that was a good attempt, but yeah. So, flying beasties is what Jamie used to say whenever you'd see, like, planes or helicopters, particularly in the Faceless Ones, and the other name of the story escapes me. I think Enemy of the World, that's that one. Yeah, where he says that. So it was really great talking to him as well. I'm just going to show the autograph I got. So this is the autograph I got of that Frazer Hines I got there. So I decided to go with the one, of him and the Doctor here, because I just thought that really worked. Obviously, he was with Patrick Troughton for the entirety of his era, so just really great. I decided on this photo because, it's great. I believe this is from Through from the Deep, the episode, which I actually watched an animation recently, and that was pretty good. So, yeah, you just put, good wishes and stuff like that. But from Jamie, he signed it, Jamie, so that's pretty cool to know. And I will put up the photo of me and Frazer Hines throughout the video, but there we go. So that was really great getting to, meet Frazer Hines and do all of that stuff, because he was just a really great guy, and I'm privileged to have met him, because it was just great. But moving on to stuff like a bit later on in the day, I went to a talk with Frazer Hines and Wendy Padbury. I also got her autograph as well. I'll show that in a bit. She was also very lovely, and she actually discovered Matt Smith, apparently, in the talk that they were talking about, Doctor Who and all sorts of stuff like that. And apparently, because Wendy Padbury used to work, who played Zoe in Doctor Who, used to work as a talent agent, so she ended up discovering Matt Smith in a play. And apparently he wasn't even a main role or anything, he was just sort of a side character. So that's pretty interesting to, find out that, she found Matt Smith, which is pretty incredible to think about. And also they talked, about Doctor Who missing episodes and stuff like that. And Wendy Padbury made this joke that said Fraser Hines has actually got them all in his garage. So that was a weird thing, and he's just got them hidden in his garage, which is pretty funny to think about, because there's always those rumours about episodes being found or whatever, and Wendy Padbury swears it's Fraser Hines just meddling with people on the internet. But yeah, so that was really cool. That was a really great talk as well. They also both talked about Tales of the TARDIS, the Doctor Who sort of anniversary thing where they invited the old companions and Doctors back to talk about their tales of the TARDIS, as it were. So that was really interesting to hear about that, coming back and doing that as well. And apparently Ross Davis took them out for dinner to ask them to come back, and obviously they did and stuff like that. Yeah, so that was really great to hear them talk about that as well. Oh, and they also talked about on stage how Doctor Who had sort of, in a way, lost their heart. They felt like Fraser Hines and Wendy Padbury were talking about Doctor Who, and they say you can't sort of throw money at it. It doesn't really work like that. And Fraser Hines and Wendy Padbury said, in our day we had good stories, good acting, and that's all that mattered, really. And classic Doctor Who, ideally, I feel like is better than modern Doctor Who. Controversial, I know, but I think that also I believe what they were saying. I think you can't throw money at it. It doesn't always work, and that's sort of what they were trying to say, really. But yeah, they were just a great laugh, and I really enjoyed hearing their talk and all that sort of stuff. It was a really joyful thing to watch, really. And Wendy Padbury was great as well. They also talked about how Fraser Hines was originally meant to leave earlier, so he was originally scheduled to leave, I think halfway through series 6 or something like that. But he didn't, obviously, and he stayed until Patrick Troughton went off as well, and Wendy Padbury, so they went off together as well. So they talked about that as well, which was interesting to talk about. And apparently Zoe, Fraser Hines' girlfriend at the time, auditioned for the role of Zoe, but didn't get it. So Fraser Hines was a bit annoyed about that. They sort of made a joke about that as well, which is really great. And Wendy Padbury kept on saying, "I've had to put up with this guy for nearly 60 years," and sort of made a joke about him. He also mocked her of her height and stuff like that. He was just a great guy to see. I just love how they took the mick out of each other, and they just sort of had a really great time. And Fraser Hines also said that he owes everything to Doctor Who, because it wouldn't have taken him all around the world. And then he said, "and Milton Keynes." So it's just pretty great to hear from him as well. And the enthusiasm he has for Doctor Who, I think, is incredible. And yeah, I think them two together were really great, and it was just lovely meeting both of them as well. On the topic of that, I better show you my Zoe autograph. I also got to meet Wendy Padbury, so there's my autograph from Wendy Padbury. There you go. And she also signed it Zoe as well, which is very nice. Nice autograph there. See, that's from the Crotons, that photo, coloured version, obviously. But yeah, so she was really nice. Got to talk to her a bit. I said, thanks for the talk as well, because that was really insightful, and I really enjoyed that as well. A shame you couldn't video any of it. I only got a few photos, which I'll put up on the screen in a minute. Also put up a photo of me and Wendy Padbury as well, so you guys can have a look at that. But yeah, so she was really lovely. Just a really great person as well. I also spoke to her about Doctor Who, and I said I like the the juxtaposition of you and Jamie and Zoe, because obviously Jamie's from the far future, and I said the 2000, because obviously 2000 is really far in the future. Yeah, not really, is it? It's 2025. It was just pretty mad to think about that they thought that was so far in the future. But yeah, it was really great talking to her and meeting her, and Fraser Hines, obviously. But the two of them together were just really great, and I'm really happy that I went to this convention, because I had a great time. I absolutely smashing time. Big shout out to my brother Jake for taking me and all that, because without him it wouldn't have been possible at all. So just big shout out to you, bro. After I'd gone to that talk and all that sort of stuff, I also got to meet Ben Hardy. I'll put a photo of me and him up on the screen over there. But yeah, Ben Hardy from EastEnders, obviously, and Bohemian Rhapsody, obviously, the film, and X-Men Apocalypse, which is also a very good film. I mainly spoke to him about EastEnders, though, because as you guys would probably know if you've been watching the channel, I did a character file review of Peterbilt. And yeah, Peterbilt, just a really great character. And Ben Hardy was a really lovely bloke. I just got to say, he was one of the nicest blokes I've met at any convention, really. Feel privileged to have met him. He was a great guy. I spoke to him about all sorts of stuff, particularly EastEnders, obviously. And I, asked him, would he ever come back to EastEnders? And he said, sort of never say never. It's not in my media plans at the moment, but he said, maybe, sort of thing like that. He was asking me questions about EastEnders, which is, I said to him, "Oh, your character in the show is now played by Thomas Law, who played it before you." And I told him about that, and he said, "Oh, good on him," and stuff like that, which is really interesting to hear about, which is really great. And he asked me, "Oh, is Lauren still played by Jacqueline Jocelyn?" I said, "Yeah, she is." I said, "Oh yeah, you're married to her with 2 kids, in EastEnders now." But yeah, he was a great guy. Also spoke to him about the famous scream in when he finds out Lucy's dead, and he said when that was filmed, the producers told him to like howl like a wolf, and so he said, and he was like, "How am I meant to do that?" Which he said to me, how was he meant to do that as well? And that was really great. Hearing him talk about that. I also asked him about the live episodes and stuff like that. And he said he was absolutely bricking it because there's like millions of people at the end of the camera, which I feel like you would be bricking it because that's live. You can't edit it. You can't do anything about it. That's live to hundreds of people and stuff like that. And I said, "Oh, do you have to do a lot of crying in the live episodes?" And he said, "No, I didn't have to do a lot of crying in the the live episodes and stuff like that." So that was really interesting to hear about. He also said he loved my enthusiasm for like talking about EastEnders and particularly Peterbilt as well. So that was really great to get to meet. I met Peterbilt, and I met Jamie and Zoe. Pretty mental, really. But I'm so glad that I went to this day because he was great, and yeah, absolutely loved me. I also spoke to him about Bohemian Rhapsody because I've seen that film. I've also seen X-Men, but I didn't really talk that much about that film. But yeah, I did see Bohemian Rhapsody, and I asked him what was it like working with Mike Myers, obviously known for Wayne's World, Shrek, Austin Powers, Mike Myers, that's a fairly big name. And he said, it was quite scary working with him, and apparently he stayed in character with his northern accent throughout the whole time they were filming. So stayed in character, which I thought pretty cool. And yeah, and he said, yeah, I was bringing it because it's Mike Myers, that's the way he said it as well. So just a really great guy. Loved meeting Ben Hardy. Just an absolute great guy, really. That's nothing more to say, really. He was a great guy. I also got the chance to meet Tim McInnerny, who obviously, if you've seen Blackadder, and he's been in loads of other stuff as well. In Blackadder, he played Percy in the first 2 series of Blackadder, and he also plays Captain Darling in the 4th series of Blackadder, and then a few guest roles in Blackadder the 3rd. But yeah, I got to meet Tim McInnerny, so there he is there. I'll put a photo on stream over there of me and Tim McInnerny. He was a really great bloke. He was a really great guy. We spoke a lot about, Blackadder, and he said, I asked him a question, which was about, was he originally going to play George in Blackadder the 3rd? Because I heard that as a rumour, but I wasn't sure whether it was, certain. And he said to me, no, that was never the intention, and he was always going to play a guest role, the same as Stephen Fry and the same as everyone else, really. So that was kind of interesting to hear from him, saying that he was never going to be George. So that was interesting to clear up that theory, though. That's good. I also asked him, would there ever be a 5th Blackadder? And he said it wouldn't really work, like this now because they're older, sort of thing. But he said sort of, he did always have a plan for a western, which sounds pretty cool, a Blackadder western. But yeah, he was a great guy. A great guy. The autograph there. Also, I decided to get Captain Darling over Percy, obviously. But yeah, just a really great bloke. I spoke to him about the first series of Blackadder is very different, the other 3. And he said, because it was all made on film, and they decided the first series was made on film. they want to make the other three cheaper, so the cost cutting as well. So that was interesting to hear about. And he also spoke about how Blackadder and Baldric, where their personalities were changed around. Obviously, Baldric became really thick, whereas before he was actually quite intelligent. So that was interesting to hear about all of that, really. But yeah, just a great guy, really. Feel really privileged. I can say that I met Captain Darling and Percy from Blackadder. Just a really great guy, really. I also asked him, is Percy related to Captain Darling in any way? And he said, no, I don't think they're related in any way, shape or form. Like, he doesn't think they're related anyway. So, yeah, so that clears up that theory. I also got to meet Bonnie Langford. Bonnie Langford, she obviously played Mel Bush in Doctor Who, and also played Cush's mum in EastEnders, Carmel. I believe that's something, if I pronounce that right. And I also sort of asked her, what was it like, what was your favourite moment being in Doctor Who? And she said she got loads of favourite moments. She couldn't pick exactly hers, but she said there's lots of been great ones. The one she did with Jodie Whittaker, obviously, when they're sort of in the mothers' meeting, when we talked about that as well, and also obviously the one that she did with Shuey Gatwa and David Tennant. She said that was a great moment, and she loved doing all of that as well. And also I spoke to her about EastEnders. What was your favourite sort of EastEnders storyline? And she said the stabbing storyline with her son getting killed, which was a very emotional story. And she would go out into the streets, and a lot of people would say, "Oh, are you all right? Sorry to hear about your son." As if they're real, as if EastEnders is real. Which I think is kind of crazy to think that people sort of believe that and they think that's real. It's mental, isn't it? Me and my brother also talked to her about having trains, because they asked us whether we've got certain trains to get here and stuff like that. And Bonnie Langford was really nice. And by the way, she is at the Paddington the Musical at the moment, so hope she does well on that. But she was generally a really lovely person. I'll put a photo on screen over there of me and her, but yeah, she was really lovely. Feel really privileged to meet her, and she was just great and really lovely. So that was nice. I also got a photo with her and all that, but yeah. So moving on to the other person I met, Arthur Darvill, who he played Rory Williams in Doctor Who from about 2010 to 2012. Believe I'm right on that. And there's my autograph. I did show these all off in a video that you can check out on my channel. Also with a video of all my photos from the day. I will show them throughout this video though, but yeah. So I got to meet Rory from Doctor Who. Pretty cool. He was very different in real life. Quite different. He was very different, to be fair. It wasn't what I was expecting, really. I sort of expected someone to be similar to their character, at least some ways. I think Ben Hardy was quite similar to his characters, but yeah, he was quite different, but a really nice guy and stuff like that. And I asked him about Doctor Who, how do you reckon they could still be alive? And he said, "Oh, I don't know how they could still be alive." And I sort of said some ideas as if they're gone back in time, to 1920 or whatever. Can't they just move out of America, and then they would be safe? You know what I mean? And then the Doctor could pick them up. But yeah, so that's sort of my idea. And he said, "Oh, if you want to write the idea, then you can." So yeah, he was really nice bloke though, really nice guy. Which is lovely to get his autograph and have a little chat with him. But yeah, it's just a great guy really. Had a nice photo with him, which I'll put on screen over there. So yeah, just a nice guy, Moving on to the last thing, which was towards the end of the day, I did get a photo with Freema Agyeman, who played Martha Jones in Doctor Who. Unfortunately, I do not have her autograph because throughout the day, basically she was queued up. I'm talking queued up. I said I had to queue for Fraser Hines, yeah. The queue for Freema Agyeman was on like a different level. There was loads and loads and loads of people, and to the point where I couldn't, I couldn't. There's no way on this earth I would have ended up with her autograph. So I've got a photo with her, which I'll put on screen over there. But is what it is. You know what I mean? But yeah, the only conversation I had with her was like sort of hello, thank you, and goodbye sort of thing. But she seemed nice, and that's all I can really say though. But you know, that is what it is. But overall, a pretty good day, to be fair. Just a massive thanks to my brother Jake for taking me and doing all of this great stuff. And you know, I can say I've met all of these great people, and they were really, really lovely. And I have enjoyed every moment of going to these conventions, because it's great that you can go and meet people who've been in your favourite TV programs. There's not a lot of TV programs where you can do that. Like I like EastEnders, and I've met some actors who've been in EastEnders, but it's very rare to find them at actual conventions. And I do like Doctor Who, and a lot of the time the Doctor Who actors are there, so that just makes it even more great. But yeah, I have really enjoyed going to these conventions, and these just are brilliant, really. Particularly for me, I've been to quite a few, and it's always great times as well. Me and my brother also went out for dinner afterwards. We went to the Hard Rock, and that was great as well. And we got back about 6 o'clock, 6:30 or 7. I don't know, something like that. And yeah, that was great. But yeah, so got to talk to everyone for like a range of different things, all sorts of stuff from Doctor Who to EastEnders to Blackadder. Pretty random, but pretty great, good day as well, and managed to get some posters as well. Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in a video soon, really. Yeah, so I've got some plans for more videos to come. Hopefully to do a video on Rodney Trotter, which was meant to come out before this, but unfortunately it has to come out later. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and yeah, there'll be more videos on the channel soon. Bye.